So, there's a lot of Christians out there that like to say that astrology is something evil and of the devil. But could it be that there's actually astrology in the Bible? Let's talk about it. Hi everyone, it's Luna, and I recently did a series about the scientific evidence for astrology, and it was a four-part series, and I showed so many studies in that series that are supportive of astrology and give plenty of evidence for it. But if we're looking at things from more of a spiritual perspective and not so much a scientific one, some people may wonder, hey, is there evidence that we can find in the Bible for astrology? And I'm here to say yes, there is, and I'm going to show you exactly how. So once again, I have a lot of references and information that I'm going to be going over, so I prefer to do that for my notes, which means I'm not going to be looking at the camera the whole time. So if that's something that's distracting to you, just put the screen aside while you're listening and go do something else while you're listening to the video, like do some housework or some cooking or something like that, and I think that'll work better. Let's just kick this off. Astrology is often regarded as the study of celestial bodies' influence on human affairs and natural phenomena, and it has a rich history that dates back centuries. While opinions about its validity may vary, some individuals believe that the Bible contains references that can be interpreted as support for astrological concepts. So, in this video, we're going to delve into various passages from the Bible and stories within the Bible that are sometimes associated with astrology, offering a perspective from a believer's point of view. So, as a lot of you know, I did grow up believing in the Bible and Christianity and things like that. And now I have a very different view of the Bible. I interpret it esoterically, and I have left religion. So I'm still spiritual, but not religious and things like that. But I still like studying the Bible for esoteric purposes. And I think this is one that's very worthwhile to notice things like astrology that are actually in the Bible. And I do also want to point out it's worth watching in my series, video number 1 of the series I just did on scientific evidence for astrology, because in that video I go over the difference between tabloid or entertainment astrology and real astrology, and I also explain how astrology is not just something where the planets control us and things like that. I explain what astrology is actually about and how it's more of a personality typing system and has more to do with psychology and things like that. So definitely watch that video to understand more about that. The first piece of evidence we have in the Bible for astrology is the Star of Bethlehem, a guiding light. One of the most well-known astrological references in the Bible is the Star of Bethlehem, and a lot of you know the story of when Jesus was born. So it's mentioned in the Gospel of Matthew, specifically Matthew 2, 1 through 12, and believers argue that this star, which guided the 3 wise men to the birthplace of Jesus, is evidence for celestial bodies influencing events on earth. Number 2 is zodiac signs and symbolism. Astrology assigns specific meanings to each of the 12 zodiac signs, often correlating them with human traits and behaviors. Some proponents of astrological interpretations point to passages in the Bible that align with these characteristics. For example, the stubbornness of Taurus can be paralleled with the Israelites' recurring wavering faith. I just also want to point out that whenever you see the number 12 in the Bible, it can very often correlate with things to do with the 12 zodiac signs, such as the 12 apostles of Jesus, each of them representing possibly a different sign in the zodiac. Number 3 is the wisdom of Solomon. The biblical figure Solomon is renowned for his wisdom. Proponents of astrological connections highlight his understanding of the stars and celestial phenomena as an acknowledgement of their significance. The book of Proverbs contains verses suggesting an application for the heavens' influence on earth. Number 4 is Joseph's dream and astrological interpretations. In the book of Genesis, Joseph dreams of the sun, moon, and stars bowing down to him. Specifically, this is in Genesis 37, 9 through 11. This dream is interpreted by some believers as an astrological alignment indicating his future power and prominence. Number 5 is lunar phases and spiritual growth. The moon's phases have long been associated with cycles of growth and change. Astrology enthusiasts note that the Bible frequently uses lunar phases metaphorically, symbolizing spiritual development and transformation. Number 6 is planetary alignments and prophecy. References to celestial phenomena in the book of Revelation, specifically Revelation 12, 1 through 5, are often seen as symbolic of end-time events. Some believers in astrology suggest that these references could be interpreted as evidence of planetary alignments influencing prophetic revelations. Number 7 is astrology in ancient cultures. Astrology was prevalent in many ancient cultures, including those mentioned in the Bible. Proponents of astrological connections point out that these cultures' beliefs and practices may have influenced biblical narratives. And also, now I've never been Jewish, so anyone who is Jewish, especially Orthodox Jewish perhaps, in the comments you can correct me on this and fact check me on this. But as far as I understand, there are certain traditions of Judaism who do believe in astrology and always have. So that's something very interesting to note, as Christianity came from Judaism, essentially. Jesus was a Jew, etc. Number 8 is the journey of the Magi. The account of the Magi's journey to visit the infant Jesus is often associated with astrology. These wise men, thought to be astrologers themselves, followed a celestial sign, the star in the sky, to find the Messiah. And this is from Matthew 2, 1 through 12. Number 9 is the symbolism of numbers and stars. Numerology is closely linked with astrology. And if you haven't looked into numerology, it's absolutely fantastic. It not only uses the numbers of your birthday to give you a certain life path number that has meaning in your life, but also you can add up the numbers assigned to the letters of the alphabet for your whole name that you were given at birth, and that also gives you a final number that tells you about your life. It's similar to astrology, but just using numbers. Certain numbers and combinations are considered significant in both practices, astrology and numerology. The Bible's use of numbers and stars is sometimes seen as aligning with astrological symbolism. Number 10 is celestial parables and spiritual lessons. Jesus often used parables that drew upon nature and everyday life. Some astrological believers interpret these parables as metaphors for cosmic concepts, suggesting a deeper connection to celestial forces. Number 11 is lunar eclipses and divine messages. Lunar eclipses are seen as powerful events in astrology. Some interpretations suggest that references to moon-related phenomena in the Bible, such as the darkening of the moon, convey divine messages, such as in Joel 2:31. Number 12 is astrological allegories in Psalms. The book of Psalms contains poetic language that can be open to interpretation. Astrology proponents propose that certain verses contain allegorical references to celestial events. Number 13 is Daniel's prophetic visions. The book of Daniel includes prophetic visions involving stars and cosmic events, such as in Daniel 8, 9 through 12. And astrological believers argue that these visions hold connections to astrological symbolism and celestial significance. Number 14 is astrology's influence on early Christianity. In the early years of Christianity, astrological beliefs were not uncommon. Some proponents posit that early Christians integrated astrological concepts into their interpretations of Scripture. And I just want to point out, I grew up Mormon, or in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the LDS Church, and the founder of the Mormon Church was Joseph Smith, who grew up in this time of essentially revivalism in early America. And so before he ever started the Mormon Church, he grew up in this culture where folk magic was done among Christian people in America. He actually carried a talisman with him that had the sign of Jupiter on it, like a Solomonic sign that represented Jupiter, because he was a Capricorn and born under Jupiter. He knew about astrology, and this was a reflection very much on how people believed during that time. So Mormons themselves don't believe in astrology as part of their doctrine today, but Joseph Smith, who grew up in this early American Christian environment, was part of this community that believed in folk magic and astrology and other things like that. So that's interesting to note. And number 15 is divine order and cosmic harmony. Believers in astrology often emphasize the idea of a cosmic order and interconnectedness. They argue that Bible verses hint at a harmonious relationship between the divine and the universe. So, this is something I've seen a lot, where there are verses in the Bible that talk about being one with God, and how the kingdom of God is within you, as Jesus talked about. I see this as the word for this is panentheistic. Some people look at it as pantheism, where God is just everything in the universe, but panentheism is something that I believe in, where God is not only in all, but above all. So we're all part of God, and it would make sense that if we're all one, if there's this unity of everything, it makes sense that what happens here on earth or what happens in our lives could affect something out there in the universe as well, much like quantum entanglement and things like that. In conclusion, with all of this in mind, while interpretations of astrological references in the Bible may vary widely, some individuals firmly believe in their existence and significance. Through the lens of these believers, various passages and stories within the Bible can be seen as celestial influences on human affairs and spirituality. Whether one agrees with these interpretations or not, exploring these perspectives offers a deeper understanding of the intricate ways in which people find meaning and connectedness in ancient texts. I hope this was helpful to anyone who was wondering about this topic. This is something I wondered about so much when I was younger and still religious. This is very much something that people who are into Christian mysticism or Gnosticism, or even New Thought Christianity, they tend to get into this topic. And I just wanted to point out there are valid reasons to believe in astrology if you're Christian. I really think so. Personally, I don't follow any religion anymore. I have found more evidence that it's just best to look at all religions as a whole and find the common threads between all of them to guide your spirituality, and go by your intuition, logic, reason, and science as well. But I think this is just a fascinating topic, and I'm glad we got to talk about it today. So if you like spiritual topics like this, evidence for things, whether in the Bible, in science, or whatever that backs up certain concepts in spirituality, be sure to subscribe to my channel because I make videos like this all the time. And also hit the bell so you don't miss any future videos that I make, because subscribing doesn't always ensure that you will know when my videos come out. Hit that bell. So if you made it this far in the video, be sure and leave the secret word of the day, which is ribbon, such as one that you would mark a Bible with. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.